They call it by different names. Some say the shadow over the desert, others call it the silent roarer. But no one has a photograph of it. Not a single video, only indirect traces and strange coincidences. It all began with eyewitness accounts in the southern part of Nevada. People reported a strange sound that resembled the hum of a turbine, but without its usual vibration. It swept overhead, leaving behind only echoes in their ears and a subtle tremor in their bones. No one actually saw the craft itself. At first, this was dismissed as just another SpaceX launch, which in recent years have become more frequent than thunderstorms in Arizona. But something didn't add up. There was no announced launch, no tracking data in open sources, no telescope recordings, no flyovers detected by radar. There were only rumors and a strange recording on an Air Force frequency where a panicked voice shouted, "An unmarked object passed over us. Altitude undetermined. No visual contact." The secrecy surrounding such events was so tight that even seasoned insiders were left guessing. But one name kept coming up more and more often, Elon Musk. Not openly, of course, but in hints. Especially after one of the SpaceX engineers, who was fired for leaking information, published several sketches on the dark web that resembled a next-generation fighter jet without a tail or wings in the traditional sense. Instead, it had a streamlined shape, reminiscent of a flattened rhombus with protrusions that looked like muscles beneath the skin. If this really is the invisible beast, then it has far surpassed everything we considered to be cutting-edge aviation. But if no one has seen it, why is there so much talk about it? Because, in some places, it still left traces, or flashes. This happened late at night, when the sky over the desert was clear and smooth as glass. Several amateur astronomers were observing the Perseid meteor shower, but instead of shooting stars, they saw something completely different. A bright object suddenly flared up in the sky, but its trajectory did not go downward like a meteor. It moved horizontally and, most importantly, silently. Lively discussions immediately broke out on forums. Was it a satellite, a drone, or a movie stunt? But one of the witnesses, a former Air Force Base technician, stated, "This isn't one of ours. Or theirs. This is from the future." His words were soon deleted from the platform, and the account disappeared, but someone managed to take a screenshot. The flash from Nevada appeared for only 1.5 seconds. But thanks to a frame from a surveillance camera, an analyst from Canada discovered something strange. The object did not cast a shadow. With such a flash, that's impossible. The only explanation he could offer was an active light suppression system. In other words, the object itself controls how it is seen or not seen by those around it. And this is where SpaceX enters the scene. A month before the incident, at a close meeting with investors, Musk let slip. The next step is control not only of trajectory, but also of perception. No one understood what he meant at the time, but after the flash, those words sounded like a hint. Perhaps we witnessed a demonstration of technology that will allow something to disappear before our very eyes, camouflaging the device amid the noise of space or the darkness of the desert night. But why? At first glance, Elon Musk and military technology seem incompatible. He builds electric cars, sends rockets to Mars, and dreams of a multiplanetary humanity. But if you dig a little deeper, everything becomes logical and even frighteningly obvious. Musk has long been controlling movement in space. His Starlink satellites are not just about internet, they are potentially a global surveillance system. Tesla is not just a car, but millions of sensors on wheels. Add neural networks and autonomous control to that, and you get the ability to control the sky, the land, and the data. The only thing missing was speed. In other words, a fighter jet, but not an ordinary one. He needs one that can reach any point, on the planet within minutes. Quiet, autonomous, invisible. One that doesn't require a pilot, but is capable of carrying out special forces level missions. This isn't about war, it's about power. Over space, over time, over information. Behind the scenes, investors are discussing the idea of the future of air delivery. Why wait 2 days for a truck when a fighter drone can deliver medicine from Brazil to Alaska in half an hour? But there is also a dark side. The same machine can attack without being detected. For Musk, this is the perfect addition to his empire. He isn't interested in traditional defense. He is building his own infrastructure for a new era where a fighter jet is just another tool. The first mention of the Dark Falcon appeared on a technical forum dedicated to aerodynamics. Someone with the nickname Mosok posted a render labeled XK Shadow Falcon Test. The image was quickly deleted, but the file had already spread through private engineers' chats. The most interesting part is that the caption used fonts identical to those used in SpaceX documentation. Later, the name Dark Falcon surfaced in a patent application describing a system for distributing thermal loads on the body of a hypersonic vehicle. Although the patent itself was filed through a third-party law firm, it contained terminology that is usually found only in internal Tesla and SpaceX documents. Insiders began to piece the puzzle together. Some claimed that behind this code name was an experimental flying prototype combining supersonic technology, stealth, and autonomous AI, something between a satellite, but a drone and an airplane. Interesting fact, on the day the flash occurred over Nevada, 3 unmarked SpaceX trucks were spotted in Texas, all heading to the same location. There is one place that journalists and drone enthusiasts rarely visit. It's an old hangar in West Texas, not far from the SpaceX site in Boca Chica. Officially, it's listed as a backup warehouse, but for the past 2 years, trucks with unknown cargo have been arriving there regularly. No logos, no license plates, guarded as if it were a nuclear facility. Previously, this hangar belonged to a private aerospace company that went bankrupt, and the building was bought out by investors connected to the energy sector. However, after digging through the transaction registry, journalists found a trail, a law firm linked to SpaceX. Local residents talk about a hum at night, about flashes visible through the sealed doors, and about heightened security that only appears on those nights when the lights go out completely. Data from nearby weather stations indicate a localized increase in temperature and pressure over a limited area, as if something is being launched inside. Satellite images show a strange configuration of the hangar roof, movable segments resembling shutters. According to some guesses, this is a mechanism for vertical takeoff. Musk's technology does not tolerate compromise. When the first images of the Dark Falcon began to leak online, most skeptics expected to see something familiar, a modified copy of existing stealth fighters, perhaps sleeker, maybe with unusual antennas, but still a recognizable shape. However, what aviators started discussing in private chats shattered all expectations. According to descriptions, the shape of the craft resembled not an airplane but a drop of water flattened in the air. The angles were not just smoothed out, they were non-existent. No vertical stabilizers, no classic-style wings or protruding elements. Everything seemed to be built into the body itself, like a flying sculpture. This is not just about aesthetics. Such a shape minimizes radar visibility to the limit and allows air to glide over the body rather than crash against it. Sources at an aerodynamics laboratory in California who worked on confidential models claimed that the body structure was designed with a special airflow in mind. Not laminar, not turbulent, but a kind of intermediate regime that was previously considered unstable. According to them, it was Musk who insisted on studying it, claiming that a new era of flight requires a new understanding of air. And although no one has yet seen a flying prototype in public, a short video once appeared online. A surveillance camera at an oil well captured a shadow flying across the horizon, distorting the sky around it like a lens. People claimed it was him, only he was flying differently from ordinary airplanes. It was as if he was gliding along the edge of space. Whatever it was, its shape was clearly not designed for a showroom, but for one single purpose: absolute control over the air. And yet that's just the shell. What's inside is even more interesting. If the streamlined shape makes the craft invisible to the eye, then what's hidden inside makes it invisible to radar. One of the most talked about innovations in Musk's alleged project is the active plasma sheath system. This is not something out of science fiction. Several decades ago, scientists were already considering the possibility of enveloping an aircraft in a thin shell of ionized gas, plasma, capable of absorbing and scattering radio waves. Theoretically, such technology makes an object invisible to most radars. The problem is that plasma requires an enormous amount of energy and incredibly precise control. Until recently, such technologies were considered practically unfeasible. But Elon has access to the most advanced power systems, from solar panels to supercapacitors that use principles close to quantum electronics. According to leaked information, the body of the Dark Falcon may be covered with a nanostructured mesh that emits ions under high voltage, creating a constant plasma shell around the aircraft. Combined with the special composition of the outer material, this allows manipulation of wave reflection, as if the craft doesn't exist at all. Some analysts believe that the plasma shell is not only stealth, but also a potential defense against laser weapons. And if all this is true, then we are facing a flying shadow that cannot be detected, cannot be hit, and cannot be predicted. And on top of that, it flies faster than we are used to thinking. When people in military circles talk about speed, they usually mean certain limits: supersonic, hypersonic, sometimes near-space speeds. But what aerospace engineers whisper about as they leave meetings under NDA is connected to new frontiers. Allegedly, a test prototype of the Sokol has already managed to break the barrier of 25 miles per minute, a speed at which traditional designs fall apart and pilots simply cannot survive. That is precisely why one of the key elements is the complete absence of a manned cockpit. The craft is by definition unmanned. Not a drone in the classic sense, but something more. It is not controlled by a human, but by a next-generation AI system, connected to a quantum processor capable of making decisions faster than a person can blink. But how does the craft manage to withstand such stress? The answer lies in the materials. One of the patents filed through a front company describes a composite based on graphene and a special titanium alloy that can retain its shape at temperatures close to those encountered during atmospheric entry. The craft's aerodynamics are designed not just to reduce drag, but to disperse it across the surface, transforming it into a stable, thermodynamic envelope. Engineers familiar with the project describe a feeling of both fear and awe. This is a craft that can travel from California to India in less than 15 minutes. The only question is why, or more precisely, how it does this almost silently. Anyone who has ever been near a fighter jet knows the sound is not just noise, it's a blow to the body, a roar that shakes the ground. But all the accounts related to the flights of Musk's mysterious craft say the opposite. Silence. Not just the absence of noise, but as if something is cutting the very sound out of space itself. Physically, this is impossible unless you interfere with the very structure of the sound wave itself. And this is where the technology rumored to be developed by one of Tesla's subsidiaries comes into play: active sound neutralization. This is not just a silencer, it's a system that, by predicting the shape and direction of a sound wave, instantly generates an opposite phase, thereby destroying the sound before it even reaches the observer's ear. Combined with the shape of the body and a plasma shell, the device literally becomes a ghost. It can't be seen or heard, and you don't even feel the vibration of the air, as if it glides through the fabric of space without leaving a trace. Those who have encountered it on military radars say, you know it was there, but you can't prove it. Perhaps this is exactly what Musk was aiming for. Not just for his craft to be the fastest, but for it to become a myth before it's too late. And finally, the heart, or more precisely the brain of this entire machine. Without it, everything mentioned above loses its meaning. The artificial intelligence controlling this craft is not an autopilot algorithm, not an assistant, but a commander. Sources from the engineering community involved in the Neuralink project claim that the technology is being developed for the brain-computer interface have also found their application in military developments. But not in the sense that a human directly controls the machine, rather so that the machine can make decisions like a human, instantly, with context and with emotions. One of the AI specialists described the system like this: it's not just a model, it's a predictor. It doesn't react, it anticipates. It doesn't wait for a command, it executes them before you even give them. And if that's true, then the device can not only dodge missiles, it can understand the enemy's behavior and change its strategy like an experienced fighter ace. But all of this creates a new level of threat. If a machine thinks, feels, and makes decisions on its own, where is the line between a tool and an independent being, and who really controls such power? With each piece, the puzzle becomes clearer and clearer. But the most interesting cards are still up Elon's sleeve, because even in reality, there's always room for rumors, especially when it comes to patents. Patent databases are real treasure chests, except instead of gold, they contain blueprints, formulas, and descriptions of what the future will look like. Musk is one of those who prefers to patent ahead of the curve. And although his companies often hide important technologies under layers of legal camouflage, attentive researchers have already started piecing together the map. One such patent is a vertical takeoff and landing system using magnetic levitation. It is registered to an anonymous firm from Delaware, but in the contact information there is a person who previously worked at Tesla Energy. Another patent covers a control module for an aerial vehicle with an adaptive cognitive system capable of learning from its own mistakes in real time. Even the materials described in the patents are astonishing. One document reveals the structure of a self-healing coating that restores its shape after micro-damage thanks to nanorobots. Such materials are ideal for a device that must withstand extreme loads and temperatures while remaining operational. But the key point is the connections between the patents. Different companies, different wording, but the same terms, the same physical principles, the same logic. Someone is clearly building something grand, and this entire mosaic points to one figure: Elon Musk. Technologies that are too complex for the market, too early for the civilian sector, too expensive for entertainment. It is precisely the patents that suggest the whole project is not a fantasy, but a reality, just not officially announced yet. But it's not only civilian analysts who are showing interest in these developments. Real attention is coming from another direction. DARPA, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, always operates in the shadows. But if they've taken an interest in a technology, it means things are serious. In recent months, information has started to emerge from confidential sources. DARPA representatives have been visiting SpaceX facilities not only as observers, but also as potential partners. Leaks from correspondence reveal that they are discussing autonomous response systems, maneuvering modules, and so-called adaptive shells. All of these technologies curiously echo what is already being associated with the Dark Falcon. Elon Musk officially claims that his mission is the peaceful exploration of space. But behind-the-scenes discussions suggest that the line between civilian and military for him is becoming increasingly blurred. As is well known, DARPA is not just looking for technologies, but for technological leaps. If Musk truly has a flying machine capable of changing the rules of the game, this is not just a matter of defense but of global strategic advantage. That is precisely why, according to rumors, several leading DARPA experts in the field of hypersonics have been transferred to a special closed group that is coordinated with SpaceX projects. If this alliance is real, it can mean only one thing: the craft is already ready to move from experiment to operational force. And if it is not just a means of transport, then what exactly does it carry on board? The most alarming topic in this whole story is the possibility that Musk's device not only flies faster than anything else and is invisible to radar, it may also be carrying something capable of changing the course of any conflict. In unofficial circles, people have started talking about hyperweapons, a technology capable of disabling targets without physical contact. One hypothesis is an electromagnetic pulse generator built into the body. Such a pulse is capable of shutting down an entire city, destroying electronics within a radius of hundreds of miles. Another theory is a controlled plasma jet that incinerates the target at altitude, leaving no trace. There is of course no official confirmation, but leaks from contractors working with high-resistance materials suggest that inside the device, there may be a compartment capable of withstanding extreme overloads and heat. Some believe that Musk's weapon is not physical but informational. The ability to infiltrate enemy communications, GPS, and command and control systems. An invisible fighter acting like a virus that penetrates the very structure of information warfare. One way or another, if this is true, then Musk is no longer just an engineer or a visionary. He becomes a bearer of power comparable to that of a state. And such powers are eventually demonstrated. This question troubles both military analysts and aviation enthusiasts alike. When? All signs indicate that test flights have already taken place. They just went unnoticed. Too quiet, too fast, too well hidden. But a public demonstration is a different level. That is the moment when the technology steps out of the shadows and announces itself on the world stage. Perhaps Musk is waiting for the right moment. A conflict, a global event, or another technology exhibition where, under the guise of a demonstration drone, something could take off that is capable of rewriting the balance of power. Insiders claim that the craft is already prepared for a series of orbital tests with atmospheric re-entry. At the same time, it can launch without acceleration using a magnetic catapult built into the hangar. Such a system could outperform all existing launch methods. Some analysts are betting on the end of the current decade, while others expect it within the next 2 years. But Musk is known for making moves unexpectedly. Maybe by the time you read this line, the Dark Falcon will already be in the air, and then there will be only one question left to ask. How will this change everything? If the craft described under the codename Dark Falcon really exists and is functional, the consequences for humanity will be enormous. This is not just about changing approaches to aviation or defense. It is a shift in the very perception of the sky, speed, distance, and threats. Nations accustomed to air superiority suddenly find themselves vulnerable. Borders lose their meaning if one person, even with billions, is able to create a craft capable of crossing half the world in a matter of minutes and remaining undetected. And what if there are several such craft? Dozens? A world in which technology belongs not only to states but also to corporations is becoming a reality. And Musk is one of the first to take on this role. His Falcon could become the icon of a new world. A world where it is not flags but logos that rule. Where battles are fought not on the field but in the cloud. And where decisions are made not by a general, but by an algorithm. But along with this comes hope. If such technologies are used not for destruction but for rescue, delivery, communication, and disaster monitoring, this could mark the beginning of a new era. The most important thing is that humanity has time to choose which direction it wants to go. Perhaps the greatest secret of the Falcon is not how it flies, but who decides where it will fly.